Hey, does this look familiar? This is where we spend a lot of our waking hours of our time inside the office, working for someone else, not having the freedom and achieving that work-life balance that we all want. When we get into this office, what we want to do is spend the time out here. We want to get out into our car, go out into the mountains, and spend the time with our families and other loved ones. Today, I'm going to talk about 5 key elements of achieving a work-life balance so that you can have more freedom and more productivity with your time. Wow, this looks so familiar. Sitting here in a corporate office for 12 years, wanting to get out, wanting to do some things on my own and achieve that freedom and that work-life balance. It took me a long time to be able to do that. I wish I would have known these 5 things earlier in my life so that I could have achieved that work-life balance much quicker. I'm going to share them with you today. So number 1 is to design your own health, relationships, and your work goals. You have to design what you want for your life. You need to understand what the individual goals are and what the time commitment is to achieve them. Each one requires its own dedication and persistence on top of your routine. So that means prioritizing what's most important to you. And a lot of people put that work as number 1 and the highest priority. But for me, I soon learned that I wanted to have my family as my number 1 priority. So what I did is every time there was a game and every time there was a recital and a play, whatever my children were participating in, I put them on my schedule first, and then I built my schedule around that. And I was able to do that successfully and be to 90-95% of all their activities so that they can remember those for the rest of their life, that their dad showed up. So putting those relationships above the work for me ended up working much better than putting the work first. Now, sometimes there's going to be demanding meetings that you have to be to, and you have to fly here, and I had to fly over there. I remember times I was traveling 40 weeks a year and away from my family. But when I got home, I was focused on them. The other thing we have to look at is our health. When we look at how hard we can drive ourselves, sometimes we drive ourselves into the ground and then we become no good to others and we can't achieve those goals in the other areas of our life. So you look at a bow and arrow. Even the strongest bow has to be unstrung or it loses its spring. It loses its effectiveness. So let's take the time to unstring our bows and relax and have that recreation before the illness makes us do it for us. The second element is 3 days in 1. Imagine you have 3 days in 1. If the first part of your day, 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. is not going well, then start your new day at noon. By dividing it up into 3, then the odds are one of your days will be productive and satisfactory. So we've all had bad days, right? Where you're thinking, oh, that day is wasted. It's gone. Well, imagine now taking and putting 3 days into 1. 6 a.m. to noon, noon to 6, and 6 to midnight. So that if you have that first part of your morning that's not going well, you don't have to reflect on that. You don't have to worry about that. Just set that aside. Now you have 2 more days in the afternoon and the evening to work your plan, to work on your business so you can forget about that. Don't be hard on yourself. Put it behind you. Start a brand new day at noon. And what that does, instead of looking at 7 days a week, even if you did this just 5 days a week, now you have 15 days during the week to accomplish what you normally would do in 5 or 6 days during that week. Your productivity will soar when you start thinking this way. You got 3 days in 1 day. So number 3 is to use your calendar to book all of your appointments. Your calendar is not only for work, but it contains the plan you have for your goals. For example, if you want to be a better father, then you need to schedule the time to be with your children. And that became extremely important to me for all their activities that went on my calendar, number 1. And then I tried to schedule my meetings around that. I tried to schedule my meetings around the health and other important activities that I knew I had to have to keep my body physically healthy so that I could accomplish all that I need to do. But the important thing here is when you put it on your calendar, it becomes real. It allows you to focus on it, allows you to see the vision and where you're going in the direction you need to be to achieve all of your goals. Number 4 is to lock down your phone time. According to a recent survey, nearly half of the respondents stated that they spent 5 to 6 hours on their phone on a daily basis. If you don't want your phone to own your life, then you should make time to put it away. The idea of multitasking is a lie. It's nothing more than doing 2 different activities back to back that each take a separate and distinct amount of time. Constantly looking at our phone takes away our focus on the most important and most productive things that we need to do. Now, most of the people I know want to achieve a high level of success, and that means generating more cash flow. But money loves speed, and speed loves focus. For example, I just bought a brand new car. I was driving it down the road from Idaho along the freeway. There was nobody in front of me, nobody in back of me, and I thought, I'm going to open this thing up and see how fast I could go. So I was up to 100 miles per hour, 110 miles per hour, 120, 130, 140, and then I just started cruising along. But you know what? When I was going 140 miles an hour, I wasn't looking over at the cattle along the side of the road, and I wasn't looking at the signs, and I wasn't looking at what was going on along the side of me. I was completely focused because I had speed. I had the speed behind me. I was focused on where I wanted to be, and that allowed me to get to where I wanted to be much faster by focus. Number 5 is to reclaim your time by ditching or delegating. Unfortunately, we overcommit and we say yes way too much. When we don't have enough time to fulfill all the activities we committed to, it leads us to falsely believe that there isn't enough time. Instead, we need to learn to either ditch or delegate the activities that are not worth our time. I remember several times, one in particular, where I had a meeting scheduled with some people who wanted me to help them on their project. And yet, at the same time, I had a son's track meet going on. And so what was I going to do? Well, I ended up ditching the meeting and delegating some other of my team members to go to that meeting for me. And I was able to go to the track meet, and I was able to see my son set a school record in the 110-meter higher hurdles. Had I not been to that meet, I would have missed that memory forever. Over the 12-year career that I had in the corporate life, I tried many, many business opportunities on the side as well to help me create some freedom in my life. And I wasn't able to do that until I found the world of franchising. Once I found the ability to achieve the freedom by owning a semi-absentee owned franchise, that's what allowed me to get to the top of my profession and have that work-life balance. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and watch the next video.